and welcome. David Levin here, Raising Your Game Today. This is Tuesday, so we're talking sports and sports parenting. The subject today is kids in sports, and I mean young kids. And is it really smart to have them start so young? I'm thinking about this because of an article in the New York Times this week called Where 9-Year-Olds Do 60 Miles an Hour. Well, right there you can tell I'm thinking about this. It's about go-kart racing and all the kids who are into that and dreaming of becoming professional racers. This ties into my new interest in Formula One because all those racers, the top in the world, started out racing karts as kids. So on the one hand, it's pretty cool and super exciting to think about. I'm loving Formula One. On the other hand, I have real questions about whether it's a good idea. I'm just not sure. My instincts as a parent and then working with kids is to say it isn't. It's not good for them. It's not worth giving up their childhood and putting them at that risk. On the other side, also as a parent, would I want to say no if my child had a dream like that? I'm just not sure. So here are some thoughts on both sides of the question. First, in support. It does seem to be true that for a lot of sports, if you want to get to the top, you need to start as early as possible. There are crazy stories about Tiger Woods actually golfing, like for real, at 3 years old. 3 years old, like golfing well enough to probably beat me on my best day. Not kidding, 3 years old. These kart racers in this article, starting at 5 and 6, tennis players, also starting super young, and they're reaching the elite levels as teenagers, more and more. Tiger, again, several of the racers, tennis players, basketball, going pro and winning as teenagers. Now, with racing, I'm not sure why that would have to be the case. It's not as punishing physically as football, for example, where you likely only have a few years to play. The top drivers can easily race into their 40s. But anyway, the point is still the same. More and more, if you want to get to the top levels of a sport, you have to start at a very young age. And there are obviously a lot of benefits of becoming a professional athlete, at least on the surface, with the kind of things we tend to value in our society. Basically, you're rich and famous, and you're probably looking pretty good too because you're in such good shape. We basically worship all of those things. But then there's the other side. Let's start with being rich and famous. Well, actually, let's start with this. Every parent basically wants the same thing for their kids, which is to be happy, right? To grow up to be healthy, happy, successful, however you define that. Adults, good parents, good partners, good citizens, good people. That's what we want for our kids. So say they get rich and famous. What's that like for them? It's nice to have money, for sure, at least up to a point. Being famous, probably not great. You don't hear a lot of people say they like that part. Again, beyond a certain point. Personally, I cannot imagine being at a level where people were writing about me all the time, making stuff up, paparazzi hounding me. That would be miserable, almost the worst imaginable thing. No way to be a normal person for very long living like that. Honestly, you watch these sports documentaries, you spend time with these elite athletes, and I'm not sure hardly any of them would fit the definition of what we want for our kids. Yes, of course, they have nice houses and all that, but are they happy? It doesn't really look like it. They're super competitive. They're under intense pressure all the time from all directions. They're away from home most of the time. They're in an incredible bubble, nothing like a normal life. I am truly not sure I would want that for my kids. I'm also reminded of something Michael Gervais said. He was the mental performance coach for the Seattle Seahawks. He said, if parents really saw what life is like for those players, they would not want that for their kids. They would want their NFL dreams to fail. That's powerful, and he's right there, seeing it firsthand. Now, of course, almost no one will get there anyway. Of all the millions of kids who have the dream, a tiny, tiny sliver will get there. So setting aside that the dream itself is likely not something you actually want for them, what's it like to chase that dream and start that young? What's the harm in that? Back to the premise that our greatest hope is to have our kids grow up to be good people, happy, healthy, responsible, caring adults. The best way to grow good people is to give them a good childhood, a real childhood, the kind that gives them the space to grow and develop and discover who they are in a way that we are wired to do. Kids are not wired to obsessively focus on the same thing for their whole childhood. They're wired to play and explore and try new things and be with other kids and go through the natural developmental stages. At our kids' school, they went to a Waldorf school, they don't even play competitive sports until after the 5th grade. They're super active. They spend a lot of time outside, more than normal. But it's not about competing and winning in the younger grades. It's just about moving and doing fun things together and supporting each other. When we let our kids get into this ultra-focused world of competitive sports, it's not really a childhood anymore. It's the world of adults. There are strict rules and goals and metrics. They're not playing. They're frequently not in school at all with other kids. A lot of them don't have time for that, so they're homeschooled or tutored. When we put them into this world, we're taking away their childhood. And there's just no way that it'd make it harder to become a good, happy adult. I've mentioned this before, but the head of Mercedes Racing, Toto Wolff, said, "I've never seen a truly great driver who was not also a broken person." They need to have a deep, irrational need to prove themselves that's so powerful. So in other words, a deep insecurity, right, is so powerful that they'll work harder than any normal, sane person would do. And again, he's right there seeing it, right? He knows what it's like. But that's what it takes to win at that level. Is that what we want for our kids? It's not what I want for mine, that's for sure. Now, it's somewhat easy for me to say because my kids don't want that either. If I had a kid who only wanted to race or whatever it was and seemed to be genuinely good at it, would I say no? I don't know. I can't say I'm 100% sure what's right with this. And sports are great for kids in general, and adults too, for that matter. Of course, I'm totally psyched about the benefits of all that, but they also need to have a real childhood. Anyway, that is the question for today. Are we sure we want kids to start doing that young? And in my opinion, the answer is no, we really don't. Serious competition should wait until they're a bit older, 10 at the earliest, 11, 12, even better. That is the way to best help them have the happy, fulfilling lives we want for them. All right, if you have teenagers in sports and want to help them improve their mental game, or you play sports and want to raise your own game, check out our Mental Game Starter Kit. It's a great set of resources to help you start boosting anyone's mental game. Just go to raiseyourinnergame.com, scroll to the bottom, you can learn about it and register there. It's all free, of course. We also offer private and group coaching. You can learn about it at the site. If you like what you heard on today's show, please tell your friends and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Every review helps more people find the show and get the mental game boost they need. If you'd like to support the show so we can keep things ad-free, please click the Buy Me a Coffee link below, and thank you for that. If you're listening to the audio podcast and you like video, we post all our episodes on YouTube as well. There's a link to that in the show notes. Finally, we'll close, as we always do, with Steve Prefontaine, legendary long-distance runner, and his quote from the end of the Raise Your Inner Game book. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice your gift. That's what we're doing. We're working to be our best and to help our kids be their best, both on the field and off. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.